Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Double Header with Amir Keenan and Keenan Costain. And on this episode, I present you a familiar artifact. What does that do with our episode? Stay tuned and find out. All right, so here we are, 1989. Anything come to mind that year, Keenan?
1989. I wasn't even born yet, but I am familiar with the team that we're going to be talking about today. That's for sure.
Oh, here's a team that you're familiar with: New England Patriots. You might not sure familiar with this coach who's being carried off the field back in 1985. We're going to go back a little bit in time here.
So 1985. I'm just doing an on-air production meeting. Uh, oh, hang on. Computer doesn't work today, but is that Raymond Berry according to my Google search?
That is so the former Colts wide receiver was the head coach of the Patriots in '85, led them to the first Super Bowl. Fortunately, they got trounced by the '85 Bears, but hey, pretty good. That's a pretty good accomplishment getting their first Super Bowl.
Yep, and I kind of lost you a little bit there. Did you say I was correct on that?
Yes, you were.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So '85 make it to the Super Bowl. '86 make it back, fall to the Broncos. In '87, '88, they missed the playoffs by one game. 87, 87 due to player strike, and then 97 and '88. Still '89. It's obviously okay. They're going to finally break through, but unfortunately, it didn't quite work out. So Mr. Tony Easton gets the nod, but just on this picture, things aren't looking good for Mr. Easton.
Yeah, and I do remember talking about the New England Patriots with Ryan Garrity, and we did a episode on the New England Patriots, which you can click in the upper right hand corner of your screen. Now, back to my point, where we talked about the New England Patriots, we briefly talked about is some of the teams back in the 80s and 90s were not the best type of teams, and we probably mentioned that in that episode, or we talked about that off camera.
Yeah, we're used to seeing the Patriots that we grew up with. We're a team that won Super Bowls with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, but yeah, late '80s, early '90s, as is the case here, they were far from Super Bowl contenders. And getting back Mr. Easton, who did start for them in that Super Bowl in '85, his numbers were 3 games in '89, 3 touchdown passes, 4 picks, 761 passing yards, and 71.2 rating. So not good.
Not good at all. Not good whatsoever.
So, all right, Tony, you're not getting it done. To the bench, sir. Doug Flutie, you're up. Let's see how you fare out, sir. Not much better.
Yeah, he's on the that doesn't look like a good sign to me. The Bills defender going right at him.
Yeah, Doug, he also started 3 games, and his stats: 493 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 picks, 4.6 rating. Okay, so Doug's not getting it done. Tony's not getting it done. Let's try the old man, the veteran Steve Grogan. All right, he's been with Pitch since '72 or '75, excuse me. Won 72 games, thrown for 169 touchdown passes, 191 interceptions, and well, so he's seen the Patriots go through a lot of growing pains and a lot of success. So, okay, Mr. Grogan, get the nod. You were the veteran, and your first task: beat the San Francisco 49ers, who I don't know, heck, what's say about them? It's not like they've won like a few Super Bowls during the decade, had they? As the,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Last time I checked, didn't they win like three Super Bowls in that time frame?
Yep. Most recently coming in January 1989. Speaking of that Super Bowl, here's a call from Lon Simmons.
Back to throw Montana. Steps up, throws. Touchdown, 49ers. The 49ers have scored. And the 49ers have won the Super Bowl. The 49ers with 3 Super Bowl victories in the 1980s.
So, yep, by
Okay.
89, they won. Did you not hear it?
No, I was able to hear it. It was just a little finicky, but I was able to pick out most of it. But yeah, but let me just say this about my point earlier. I was right about the 3 Super Bowl victories. So uh, there, but going back to your original point, Amir.
Yeah. So, yep, they won 3 Super Bowls by this point. They're the team of the decade. A dynasty has been formed in San Francisco. And of course, yep, after that game, Bill Walsh retired and handed the reins to Mr. George Seifert. And, well, first 3 weeks of the season, so far, so good. They're 5-1. So their lone loss has come at home to the Rams, or at Kansas, rather. So 13-12 loss, because back in the day, they didn't do like you do now. The Super Bowl champions open up at home and whatnot. But anywho, so speaking of home, tomorrow is scheduled to play a home game to the Saints, but due to the World Series, I can't really see it here. So I'm gonna see if I can show you. So it says here, or excuse me, on this one that was printed out in the spring, the red means they're at home. So October 8th, they're supposed to host the Saints. But according to this, you can see it. I know it's flipped. That was moved to New Orleans due to the
Yep,
due to
I
their
do see the New Orleans. Yep.
yeah. That was moved to New Orleans, the Superdome, because the Giants and the A's were playing the World Series, and well, since the Giants important to share a venue, that was going to conflict with that, so they had to move that game from Kansas City to New Orleans, and that game was scheduled for November. As for the World Series, well, it's the Battle of the Bay, so it's going to be real exciting. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely for sure. The World Series. And it gets a lot of viewers around this time of year, and as for me, for a baseball fan, I'm gonna say this right now, folks. For everyone that doesn't know, I'm not the biggest baseball fan in the world, but I respect the game itself. It's America's favorite pastime, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. I know football has eclipsed it, and basketball has a say in the matter as well. And back in the '80s, it say that all 3 of them were competing to become America's favorite pastime. But in October, for the most part, everyone's focused baseball or football, and as was the case here. And as for the A's and the Giants, supposed to be an exciting game, but 2 games in, looks like the A's have the advantage as they won the first 2 in Oakland. But then come October 27th, their game is going to be played in San Francisco, as you see here. Welcome to Game 3 of the 1989 World Series, with the first pitch taking place at 5:35 Standard Time. But at 5:04, this happened. Hmm. Uh-oh, something's not right here. I heard some static in the background.
Yeah, I was about to say there's a little bit of a panic, right?
Yeah, so during the pregame show on ABC, Al Michaels and Tim McCarver were, doing the pregame and whatnot. And out of nowhere, as they're showing some highlights, everything got all staticky, and then Al Michaels being heard saying, "I think we're high on the earth," before everything cuts to black, and then there's like a standby notice and everything on ABC.
Mm, well, hopefully there's a better ending to the story.
Well, unfortunately, what people who watch this on TV didn't know that then an earthquake had struck San Francisco, a 6.9
Uh,
earthquake from the Loma Prieta fault line, and it caused a lot of damage in the city, as you can see here.
Yeah, these graphics, folks. I know you can't see them on Spotify at the moment, but just taking a look at these graphics, I'll try to explain these the best I can. Fire destruction, buildings destroyed, bridges destroyed, homes destroyed, people injured, and people unfortunately have possibly have died during this situation as well.
Yeah, so 63 people died in that earthquake, 3,757 were injured, and the damage cost between 5.6 and $6 billion.
Yeah, and I want to give a quick shout out to our friends out in the North Carolina area for Hurricane Helene. Went through some major destruction over the last few weeks with bad weather and towns being destroyed. And shout out to uh, our friends in the Boone and Mountain area as well in Eastern Tennessee going through some tough times right now. So I want to give our thoughts and prayers to them as they hopefully try to recover during this time. And feel free to make some donations to your local website if you want to help out and support them. So I highly recommend you do that. So,
Yeah, definitely. 'Cause, yeah, that's crazy. We're talking about a natural disaster and years ago, and North Carolina's going through one right now in parts of Tennessee due to the hurricane, and it's awful sight to see, especially what's going on in Boone and Biltmore and also what have you. Yeah, just getting back to this, it's just you can see here the Bay Bridge that collapsed, the Cypress Viaduct that was destroyed, and they took them over like 8 years to finally get that rebuilt. And you see on the left, on your right hand corner, lower right, excuse me, fan being wheeled off at Candlestick. I mean, luckily, I mean, because people inside the stadium they were impacted by this, but luckily nobody was no fatalities, but a few people did get injured during the earthquake. The, these stadium started to shift and go back and forth. That's why the broadcast, the signal to the broadcast went out.
yeah. So just again, just thought I throw that out there for people to know in case if you guys didn't know what was going on in the Carolina area. And back to this, it's definitely a un, unforeseen circumstance, if I'm using that term correct.
Definitely for in both cases, because you just it's when there's a hurricane, earthquake, tornado. It's just it caused a lot of destruction, damage, and people get injured and unfortunately also lose their lives.
Shout out to shout out to our, to our neighbors in the western side of North Carolina and throughout Tennessee as well. For hope everyone is doing well during this time and continue to stay safe.
Definitely. Same with those in the Bay Area as well. And speaking of which, several members of the 49ers were at the game when the earthquake struck or occurred, excuse me. And so Joe Montana was with his wife and with wife Clark and Barlow and his son Nate, who's just only 7 days old when this happened. They were in the booth, waiting for the first pitch when the earthquake took place. And then had Tom Rathman. He was in the parking lot when the earthquake happened. And he had Jerry Rice, who was taking his family out to dinner when he thought he had a flat tire, but then turned out it was he was caught in the earthquake. And lastly, we had Coach Seifert, who at the headquarters just took a shower. All of a sudden, the building started to shake. But being familiar with San Francisco and they had earthquakes in the past, what he got safety like he knew what to do because he knew where to go, where to be safe, and everything. So luckily, Rami knew what to do in that situation. But it did impact several members of the 49ers.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for that to happen. So, I see these pictures here of if you mind explaining to me, who's that on the left and who's that on the right on the first picture? With the
Oh, that's
yeah,
Joe Montana and his wife.
yeah,
Yeah, they're at the World Series when the earthquake occurred with their 7-day-year-old son Nate, or Nat, excuse me, not Nate.
Nat. Okay, I must have missed that while I was typing up. I was typing up a note and I must have missed that. So my apologies.
Yeah, fine. And going back about Nat, he would end up going to his father's alma mater, Notre Dame.
Hmm. Fun fact.
Oh yeah, yep. And as for Candlestick Park, as you can see here with the tarps and the construction stuff, there was structural damage to the stadium. It wasn't damaged too badly, but it wasn't deemed safe to play in. So the World Series got postponed, and the Niners' next home against the Patriots got moved to Sanford Stadium, which I will show to you right now. That's located not far from where they played, and the Niners have history at that stadium because that's where they won their second Super Bowl, a 38-16 win over the Dolphins in 1985.
Mm. Yeah, I do remember reading a little bit about the 1985 champion or 1984 NFC champion team.
Yeah, Stanford, they hosted the Super Bowl that year, which is back in the day, a lot of college stadiums hosted it. The stadiums, not, see, it was in California, the weather was much better, and though that day was a bit foggy that day. But either way, of course, Stanford's not far from where the 49ers play and everything, so this will work. And plus, they have history there, and like I said, Brady's hosted the Super Bowl, so why not host a regular season game there?
Hmm. Why why not do that? So Amir, it's got what's next on the old story?
Well, let's see here. We got the game's gonna be on NBC, and I guess who's gonna be on the call, Mister the legendary Dick Enberg and former 49ers head coach and future Stanford head coach Bill Walsh.
Oh, Bill Walsh. Yeah, yeah, I recognize that name. As for the first name, I'm not really familiar.
Yeah, Dick Enberg, he was the #1 man for NBC, and of course he called the Niners' last Super Bowl back in January with Bob Trumpy, who was replaced by Bill Walsh, who then retired after that Super Bowl.
Yeah, was the lead commentator like the Al Michaels of the 60s through the 80s?
Um, he was lead comment. Dick Enberg's case, he's lead commentator of like the late '70s into like the late '90s. He took over for Kurt Gowdy, and of course he lead announcer, of course, all the Super Bowls and marquee game on NBC. And Dick Enberg definitely one of the greatest to call the game and for the NFL.
Mm, definitely, and I don't disagree with you there. Sure.
And as for the site at Sanford Stadium, it's going to be a sellout. Over 70,000 are in attendance. So, all right, let it
Wow.
go. Yeah. So, who you have for this game, Keenan? I'm going to go with 49ers. I know it's going to be a tough circumstances, but they are on paper. They are the better team for this.
Well, they're looking for a reason to celebrate, and I'm going to pull for the 49ers themselves. And do you have any scoring predictions?
Let's see. I'll say San Francisco 34, Patriots 21.
Okay, I'm going to say 28 San Francisco to 21 New England.
All right. Patriots are going to keep it close, but defending champions are going to pull away. I can't argue with that.
Hmm.
Let's see what happened. Okay. Still, what I'm reading is scoreless first quarter, but the Niners did make an impact on an interception by Don Griffith that we're going to listen to here. But here we go, Mr. Don Griffith make the first big play of the game.
San Francisco. The Patriots with Grogan gunning, and it is intercepted by Don Griffin back to the 36-yard line with his first interception of the year.
Yep. So that was in the first quarter, but the Niners couldn't take advantage of that because a Mike Hofer field goal was blocked, and then during first play of the second quarter, Stanley Morgan scored on a flea flicker from Steve. Well, excuse me, it was John Stevens sliding back to Brogan, and then on a wild Morgan for the game's first touchdown, hit the Patriots a 7-0 lead. So, all right, Patriots are going away quietly, and Brogan's putting some spark in his offense.
Yeah. So the interception really did some favors for New England, if I'm remembering correctly from the audio clip.
Well, yeah, it did, again, the audio clip was not the best, but it was late in the first quarter when that happened. Niners drove length of the field, but then a Kofor field got blocked, and the pitch kind of capitalized on that one, and that's when Morgan scored the game's first touchdown on that flea flicker.
Yeah, so they did a good job of taking advantage of the 49ers mistake.
Mhm. But the Niners would bounce back as they would tie the game. Jerry Rice for 3 yards out, which upon first glance, I mean, it looked like a touchdown. I knew it was a touchdown, but the referees they were a bit hesitant at first, which led to a rare moment where Jerry Rice got animated and he removed his helmet. It wasn't illegal at the time, but eventually they reviewed it and said a touchdown, so it's tied at 7-all. And then after that, the two teams trade field goals, but then late in the first half, Niners keep the ball back, get to the Patriots 1 yard line, 3 yard line. It's facing fourth and goal. Instead of going for the field goal, they said, let's put it in the end zone.
5 seconds to go in the half, and Young at quarterback. Rolling, throwing, touchdown. For the tight end, Wesley Walls, his first NFL score.
So not sure if you could hear that. That touchdown pass, the man who caught that was Wesley Walls, his first in the NFL, because they drafted him from Ole Miss that year. And that gave the Niners a 17-10 lead at halftime. But the man who threw that touchdown pass was not Joe Montana, it was Steve Young. You're probably wondering what happened to Joe. Well, one play prior to that, he took a hit to below the knee. Well, it wasn't serious. It would keep him out the rest of the game, but it was a scary moment for 49er fans.
Yeah. So, well, it was a scary moment. So he wasn't able to make his return, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was turned out to be a sprained knee, so it's
Oh,
going to keep him out for the next 2 games, or next game rather. And he also had missed the previous game in Dallas the week before, or a few weeks prior, due to an elbow injury. But luckily, that wasn't too serious. But fortunately, the Niners did have another scare with Jeff Fuller. He unfortunately suffered a career-ending injury on the first play of the game at trying to tackle John Stevens of the Patriots when he fractured his vertebra, which caused him to lose feeling in his left arm, and which was a very that was the last thing anyone needed to see, especially for any Niner fans, considering what happened in their city weeks in the week leading up to the game.
interesting indeed.
Yeah, and I know, and when it came to that, I know Pierce Holt had something to say about that, and I'll play that right now.
When something like that happens to a teammate, it strikes pretty close to home.
It definitely strikes close to home. I was definitely able to catch that. Uh,
Yeah, and it does.
Unfortunate.
I'm sorry.
No, no, no. I'm good. Excuse me.
Yeah, it does strike close to home to know. Because not only can tragedy what's going on in the city, but then see a teammate get injured and then not able to move, and then lose use of its arm, and then can't play anymore. It's because he's worked hard to get to that point. He's trying to make make an impact on the team and everything, and now he can't play for his playing career is over.
Yeah, yeah. It's, I don't know what the play was, because I don't have any video footage in front of me. So maybe after the show, I would definitely do some more video research to see what happened, if there is any.
There is, and what happened on the plays seems is making the turn. Fuller, number 49, comes into frame, and as he's trying to hit him, not tackle him, he collides with them. Of course, Stevens shrugs it off, but then Fuller falls to the turf or to the grass, and then is motioned for several minutes. And as the reports came in, it turns out he fractured his vertebra, but while he was able to regain again, feeling his arm, it unfortunately cost him his career. But luckily, Eddie Barlow was able to pay for his medical bills and coverage for for the rest of his life. So that's maybe Eddie Barlow, one of the best owners in the NFL. He was the way he looked after his players and coaches, especially during tough times like any injury or family emergency.
Yeah. So I definitely made a note of that while you were speaking, and I'll definitely look it up as soon as the show has been con- concluded.
Mm, yeah, so get back to this game. It's now 17-10 at halftime, and so you're a Patriots. You got to be feeling yourself all right. Expecting that touch on the last play of the half. We're hanging in with these guys.
Yeah, excuse me. But yeah, close game. New England keeping it close. San Francisco lost a few players along the way, but you know, as we always say, Amir, and then this goes for today's NFL as well with our team, the Carolina Panthers and Indianapolis Colts. Next man up.
Definitely, Joe goes down. C. Young comes in the game, and his first play is a touchdown pass. So that that proves it right there.
Definitely. So second half, close game. What do we got, audio and picture wise, for this one?
Well, let's see here. Oops. Well, Stanley Morgan is at it again. So let's see what's going on here. All right, so Stanley Morgan, who went over 100, got 3 passes on the day, but made the most of them, find the end zone twice. And that one would tie the game at 17 all early in the third quarter. So again, Patriots not going away quietly.
No, big big plays from, I think, the defensive end, if I'm not mistaken,
Defensive end.
or not defensive end. Excuse me, the receiver. Excuse
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, Stanley Morgan, he was also a veteran, been with Patriots since '77. He's
me. Yeah,
seen them go through their fair share of seasons, through their best days and dark days during the late '70s and in the '80s. And so he
yeah.
looks like Grogan.
Mhm.
So once again, just lit a fire underneath this well, struggling Patriots offense that was in net or erratic under Flutie and Eason. Yes, all right. So tied up at 17 apiece. Niners know they need to drive or need to score to regain the lead. And who better to do it than another legendary wide receiver? I think you might be familiar with his name.
Young on 3rd and 6. Down the middle, complete. Two tackles right. He's on the ball.
I agree with that. Yes, he did go all the way. Dick Embergs. That was, I believe, a 63-yard touchdown pass. So that put the Niners back on top, 24-17. So better way to get Niners back on top than Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice. Yep, that's the name I'm definitely familiar with, and a very popular name throughout the NFL.
Yeah, and speaking of which, this was only his fifth season, and he's already scored 61 touchdown passes or touchdowns, excuse me, and that tied him with his teammate Roger Craig, who would later find the end zone and set that record, but that'd be temporary. As Rice would surpass him by end of his time with San Francisco.
That is insane. 61 touchdowns, and it's only your fifth season in. I thought it would be like his 11th or 12th season, with those numbers. But man, he filled up that stat sheet for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Jerry, 2 years prior, he led the NFL in receiving touchdown passes, and also has come up a Super Bowl MVP performance in that in January in Super Bowl 23. So he's already right. His Hall of Fame resume was already being written in by this point.
That most definitely.
Yep. So of course now it's 24-17. Patriots need a response. It's late in the third quarter, right near the end. They're inside Niners territory, looking to tie the game up, but unfortunately, they run into some trouble.
On the shotgun, 3rd down and 13. Intercepted by Daryl Pollard. He's hit. 49ers have the ball at the 28.
So Daryl Pollard with his first career interception, and that was a redemption for him because he gave up the touchdown pass to Irving Pryor, Stanley Morgan at the beginning of the quarter, and a few plays prior to that, the Patriots were going for a field goal to cut into the lead, but then he unfortunately ran into the kicker, who did the classic like, oh, he's been hit acting job, and that didn't sit too well with Pollard. But he met with that interception at the end, in a few plays later to stop another Patriots scoring drive.
Hmm. Yep. Yep. So good redemption from him and the Stacey Morgan play. So Patriots get the ball back. Still 24-17, right? And they're looking to respond, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, once again, the Niners couldn't take advantage of an interception, but the Patriots did get the ball back. So for another field goal, pulled in four. But after that, that was as close as they would get. Because then John Taylor, the man who scored the game-winning touchdown in Super Bowl 2023, was at it again.
Back to throw is Young. He's got Taylor at the 35 to the 30. He's to the 25. He's right
No, that was Joe Starkey, who then took over for Lon Simmons as the play-by-play for 49ers on KMBR in 1989, and he would hold that until the 2008 season.
Yeah, another fun fact on the old bingo card that we talked about in our weekly pick segment, which we can view right here.
Yep. Yep. So that Taylor touchdown reception would basically put the game out of reach. The Patriots after that couldn't do much offensively, and then Roger Craig, who I mentioned earlier, would score late as late in the fourth quarter to bring the final to 37-20. Not a 49ers victory. So Patriots gave it a good fight, but at the end of the day, the 49ers proved why they were the best team in the NFL that year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just typing up another note real fast before I forgotten about it. So, Amir, feel free to proceed.
Yep. So the Niners proved the 6-1. Patriots fall to 2-5, and and then the Niners would eventually play, or excuse me, we're moving to the next home game. They were on a win streak where they would win more games at away from Candlestick Park than at Candlestick Park. This is their 13th win away from Candlestick.
Hmm. Yeah, and you would think, having home field advantage would help, but not in this case.
Yeah, I know. It was strange. Even going back to the '88 season, they 4 or 6 losses took place at Candlestick, and they even early as they struggled at home, and then I know from '88 to '91 they won a record 18 road games, which still stands today in the NFL.
Hmm. Yep, that's another fun fact. Yep. So, folks, you're learning quite a bit today, and so am I.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's why I love doing this. So again, it's just why I just love watching game of football. It's like so much to learn, so much to talk about.
Yeah, rather than just the games that are going on today. There's what over a hundred years of football to dive into.
Oh yeah, and speaking of which, there's a game going on right now in London between Jets and the Vikings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm. So before we wrap things up, let's see how they finished the season, the Niners and the Patriots. And as I pull back the curtain, oh, what do we have here? Niners, another Super Bowl.
Yeah, definitely not surprising for sure. And that's a pretty cool Sports Illustrated cover.
Oh yeah, Joe knows Super Bowls because he played in 4 of them, won all 4 of them, and won MVP in 3 out of the 4, including the one in January 1990, a 55-10 drubbing the Denver Broncos.
And didn't we talk about Joe Montana in the draft class, or was that a different
No, that was John Elway, the man whose team got drubbed that day in New
guy?
Orleans.
Okay. Yeah, I knew his name started with a J. I just couldn't pick it out of my brain. But
Yeah, I think this is the first episode we even touched on Joe Montana, to my
yeah,
knowledge. I could be wrong on that.
definitely. So anyway, what happens after the Sports Illustrated cover?
Um, Sports Illustrated cover. Oh, but
Like, well, yeah, what I'm saying is what's next?
oh yeah, I was about to say. Well, and this is the first time I ever found that Sports Illustrated cover doing research for it as a presentation. But yeah, as for so the Niners, of course, they went 14, finished the 8-9 season 14-2, and of course won that Super Bowl we just discussed. As for the Patriots, they were unfortunately saw the events of full in their homes. Their season ended with a 5-11 record, and as for Raymond Berry, where'd you go? There it is. Oh, that's not a good look.
He's holding some sort of notebook and kind of looking, you know, down in the dumps, or kind of distraught, if that. So.
Oh, he had every reason to be distraught because after the '89 season, the Patriots said Raymond were moving in a different direction. He was he was fired.
Kick to the curb. So hate to say that. Hate to see that. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I will say Raymond did bring the Patriots to that point, one of their best highlights of their franchise history, their first Super Bowl appearance. But after that, it was mediocre to in '86, '88, or '88, and then '89, the bottom fell out.
Yeah. So with the 49ers getting another one, and Patriots coach being fired, um, there's, uh, my point is, give me Is there any more?
No, I mean that just shows you how the two teams started really, what was going on in the '89 season, how things were what was going on for both these teams, and how it would impact both of them. I mean, non-Niners Super Bowl champions, you know, I've only played one game at home or at their home venue, but then an earthquake happens and they had to move to a play at a different venue, overcome that move and the tragedy to not only win that game, but then, have a great regular season, win a Super Bowl, whereas the Patriots, they came into the season knowing they had to make the playoffs, otherwise changes would be made. And unfortunately, they didn't make the playoffs to a large fact. They had a putting it down, but say with quarterback, weren't stable at the quarterback position compared to the 49ers. And then, a lot of injuries as well. And as a result, Barry was given his walking papers.
Yeah. Um, I got nothing else to really say when it comes to this. So Amir, uh, good job on this, and yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thank you. And I will say you did bring up our 1983-2004 episode, and in our next segment, we will be touching on the man who was drafted from that, who was not only drafted that year, but also took on the 49ers in his only Super Bowl, and as he was still playing coming the year 1997. You might be familiar with his name. His name is Dan Marino. What did he Why am I bringing him up? Well, you're gonna find out in our next segment of the double header.
You're listening to Double Header. Be sure to like and subscribe. All right, folks, welcome back. So, we talked about a team from 1989, the Patriots and the 49ers. Now, we're going to talk about a familiar quarterback that we talked about in our second episode of Doubleheader, which you can click right now.
Hmm.
So, Bears and Dolphins, 1987. So, what do you remember about the Bears and Dolphins from 1996, the previous season, Amir?
Well, '96 Dolphins. That was their first season with post Don Shula, who retired, to Brian Jimmy Johnson to hopefully lead Dan Marino to his first Super Bowl championship, which he had only played in one up to that point. Where Jimmy had won three with Dallas Cowboys, where Jerry Jones and usually parted ways. Having said that, first season under Johnson, Dolphins finished 8-8. Not what they were expecting.
Yep. And without further ado, we're going to go over some pregame notes from this matchup. So let's just say we dive into the end zone here.
Oh yeah, definitely. I could see that.
So October 27th, 1997 was the date. So the time of game was at 9 o'clock p.m. and this took place on Monday Night Football, ESPN. So the location was Pro Player Stadium in Miami, Florida. The attendance for this game was 73,156. And are you familiar with these commentators on the right of your screen, Amir?
Yes, we discussed them in our international game series episode. Mike Patrick and
Yep,
Joe
with Ryan.
Theismann.
Yep, with Ryan Garrity, and and like I said, card in the upper right hand corner of your screen now. So with that, so the Bears are still looking for their first win of the season. So yes, folks, they are 0-6 coming into this game. And Amir, feel free to explain why they're 0-6.
Yeah, and then you get back to on their one up '96 Bears. They were 7-9. They missed the playoffs for the second year in a row under Dave Wanstaff, who used to be on Jimmy Johnson's coach staff in Dallas. To give you a fun fact there. As for the 97 Bears, ew, yeah, it was not pretty. They were 0-7 going into the game. They tried to work Meyer, trade for him from Seattle, and that didn't work out. He threw six interceptions to zero touchdown passes and three starts. So Meyer's not getting it done. So we'll bring back Eric Kramer to re-spark the offense, and this is our first win of the season. And the Miami team that's 5-2 and looking to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So back to Amir's original point in the intro, he brought up a baseball artifact, which was this game was
Mhm.
originally scheduled for Sunday, October 26th at 4 p.m., but was moved to Monday at 9 p.m. because of the Indians and Marlins game, World Series game number 7. So they had to do something, and lo and behold, they thought of an alternative game plan of moving this game for Monday night.
Yeah, because it's supposed to take place on Fox the previous day, and I have an artifact related to that. The program from that game. This is what they handed out. So here it is. And it's October 26th, 1997. But it's amazing they were to print that out the day beforehand, or day leading up. They do these months in advance. So it would have been October 25th, but it was October 26th instead. Or excuse me, it
Well,
says October 26th on the game program but unfortunately, it got moved to October 27th. Correct
you're
myself.
right, right. So they're able to make some changes to that, which is a good thing. So you know, like I said before, Chicago looking for their first win of the season, and they get it done. And after a bitter defeat against Green Bay,
I mean, with Kramer at quarterback, they have a chance, but the Dolphins are saying this is our home turf, winless team. We lost them be a big blow to our season because we're the better team not only on paper but overall. We're 5-2.
so yeah. So without further ado, we're gonna do a do a little quarterback analysis between Eric Kramer and Dan Marino. So, like you said, Amir, Bears were 7-9, Dolphins were 8-8 in 1996. Head coach Jimmy Johnson on your right, and Dave. Um, forgive me if I'm butchering your last name, sir, but Dave uh Onset. I'm saying that correctly.
Yep,
Onset.
one said.
Onset. Okay, I did good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep, you got it.
So, yeah. So, Amir, before we jump right into, or before we jump into the game, any final thoughts, predictions for this game?
Well, again, Dolphins are at home, better team on paper. Bears are going to give it. I say going to put up more of a fight than fans would expect, but I say the Dolphins will pull away. They'll win 38-24.
I'm gonna say 30, 38, 35, and I think it's gonna come in an overtime. So that's my prediction.
Okay.
So you know, if you're looking to possibly um put some money down for this game, you know, I don't know what the gambling rules are back in the 1990s because I was number one barely born around the October timeline, and neither was Amir. So don't know what the rules are for that. So if you're looking for put down a friendly wager, uh, feel free. But without being said, first half. So Bears won the coin toss. Dolphins received the opening kickoff. And I want to keep this in mind that Dan Marino competed complete right for 11 yards and tackled by Walt Harris and there was a penalty. False start with 5 yards. There's no play, and here's an audio clip of that.
Second and 14. Theory knocks down Marino and it's loose. The Bears have recovered at the 20-yard line. The big hit by John Theory, only his second
Yeah.
sack of the season.
And that was the John Theory, sack. So, which leads up to my next point that Dan Marino did was able to find get back there. But before that, Ramon Harris was left for 1 year touchdown, and I believe this is the right one.
Mhm.
Third and goal inside the 2. To the goal line. No signal now. It is touchdown Chicago Bears.
So
Bears
my
making a
apologies
statement
there.
in South Beach. Yeah, I know the audio is not the best, but yeah, Bears making a statement in South Beach.
Yeah, yeah. So right out the gate, they're getting the job done. You know, as the game plan suggests for them. So to make this a 10-7 game now, and the first Bears up top early. In the second quarter, Marino drops back for that sack on John Theory for -5 yards, fumbles it to make it a safety, to make it a 12-7 up top, which we already reviewed already. So after a few minutes, back and forth defense, nothing really transpired to make it a 15-7 game after a Jeff Jagger 20-yard field goal. And for this one, I want to take a look at this audio clip of the Dolphins looking for a response as they march downfield pretty well at the Chicago 10, complete the Darius McBall for 10 yards, touchdown Miami.
Second and very short. McPhail on the draw. He's got the first down and more. Jarris McPhail breaks it. 30, 20, 10. Touchdown Miami.
So, Amir, your thoughts?
Yeah, that was so McPhail. He got the nod in the first half because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, no, not the Lakers center basketball player from not confused with him. There was an NFL player by that same name. He was the Dolphins starting running back at the time, but in the week leading up to the game, and his wife went to labor, gave birth to a daughter, and of course he went to the hospital, witnessed that. But that didn't sit well with Coach Johnson, who ended up bench him in the first half because of that. And Coach Johnson caught a lot of heat from the players in the media because the guy's got birth of his daughter. Why is he going to miss out on that?
Yeah, and Jaguar fan 9 did an excellent video breaking it down, and he did Jaguar fan 9 explained that he did get permission from the coaching staff to miss a practice, and yet Jimmy Johnson was not a fan of him, with the call. So if you want to check that video out, folks, I'll put the link in the description box down below.
Mhm.
So with the touchdown being done with for Miami, we're gonna go to the second half. So and before we go any further, so Amir, it's halftime right now. Uh, yeah, have any more thoughts before we go into it?
I know Dolphin fans are scratching their heads saying, so we're losing to a winless Bears team that we should be dominating 23-0 or something, dominating, and yet they're not. You're a Bears fan saying yourself, man, well, all right, we're winning, but let's not get too comfortable because again, we lost some close games coming into this one.
Yep, definitely, and I would definitely agree with that. That the Dolphins are going to make a few changes, a few adjustments, a few tweaks, and go from there. So second half rolls around now, third quarter, back and forth exchange. Nothing much happens until a Jeff Jagger 47-yard field goal to make it 18-13 Bears. And I want you to take a look at this underlined bullet point here, Amir, and looking to bounce back after some miscues throughout the first half. Pass completed to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and that name, that Amir mentioned earlier. There he is, for 8 yards, tackled by Tom Carter, and and Marino completes left for 21 yards, tackled by Anthony Marshall and Maryland Foe on the assist. So when Marino completes right to Troy Drayton for 7 yards, tackled by Mark Thomas. Okay, incomplete. Left attended for a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar that a couple plays later. So we complete the middle, defended by Van Hills, and basically after a missed conversion from Marino, the Bears were able to get the ball back. And after making no progress whatsoever, it got worse for the Bears around the 33-16 mark in the third. Eric Kramer pass complete middle to Ricky Boucher for 10, Boucher for 10 yards. He fumbles the ball, recovers by Terrell Buckley, which we talked about in our last episode, and that came big in the 1999 game for Miami. So he returned it for 22 yards. Miami takes the lead, and here's the call from the lead commentator.
Yeah, that was Buckley scoring a touchdown again. The audio not the best, I will say.
Yep, definitely not. And um, so got any more predictions? Because Miami's taking the lead now, and Bears were doing pretty good for themselves, being 0-6 coming into this game.
Well, and Dolphin fans are feeling like, okay, team's back in, finally in front. Now let's put this game away. And you're the Bears fan, just saying to yourself, oh gosh, here we go again. Can't get the break
Yeah,
this season.
yeah. So let's see if they can turn the ship around. And fourth quarter goes around now. Marino pass complete left to Troy Drayton again for 22 touchdown. Okay, so 28-15 field goal to make it 26-18. And here's the call on the.
Marino to throw again. Underneath to Drake. Drake fights off the tackler. Touchdown.
All right, so here we go. Eric Kramer back on the field, middle for no gain. He fumbles the ball, recovered by Trace Armstrong, who came up big in that 1999 game that we talked about. Really turned it on here, so here's the audio clip of that.
Third and long. Kramer fumbles the snap. Loose ball. Miami's got it. Trace Armstrong right on top of it.
So
Trace
Amir,
Armstrong doing it again.
yep. So Amir, here come the Dolphins. The Dolphins here, so it's getting a little bit tight. So
Yeah,
Kareem
well,
Abdul.
yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
And your Bears fans are like, well, you're really getting nervous now. It's like we had control of this game, and now it's slipping away.
Yeah, and it's not looking too good for the Bears at the moment. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar middle for 2 yards, touchdown Miami, 33-18, extra point, and here's the call of that, folks. I suggest you mute your sound if you're a Bears fan.
Also got this H-back spot. Short yardage. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar touchdown.
So looking to respond and get something going and fast, and with this game, uh, oh, what? Wait, is, is that right?
Yeah, 33-18. Yeah, you got that right.
Here is looking. Oh yeah. Yeah. I had a moment, folks. So my mistake. And lo and behold, here come the Bears once again, and you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, they're down 33-18. What could possibly happen? So let me explain, folks. Kramer pass complete middle to Ryan Wicknight for 5 yards, tackled by Anthony Harris. He and a couple plays later, incomplete, left intended for Chris Penn, defended by Shane Burton, and completed to left to Ryan Wicknight for 13 yards. So Ryan Wicknight was able to get it going. Complete right to Curtis Conway now for 54, and Eric Eric drops back incomplete, left intended for Chris Penn, and he completes down the middle for Bobby Ingram this time to make it a 133-25 game. So, here come the Bears, like I said. And if you're Jimmy Johnson, look at this stat, Amir. Absolutely nothing to show for Jimmy Johnson's team, going three and out. And I thought you would, and I thought you would say this. Here we go again, right?
Oh yeah.
So Eric Kramer has complete right to Ryan Midnight for 6 yards, and and he he continues to look downfield. A couple plays later, and it's incomplete for Chris Penn, incomplete, and he completes to Bobby England for 23. Pass complete to Curtis Conway for 5. Tackled by Anthony Harris. So looking at these stats, he, he, Eric Kramer pass incomplete, left intended for Chris Penn, and Eric Eric Kramer pass complete, left to Chris Penn, 25 yards to make it 33-31. And the 2-point conversion is successful, tied up at 33 all. Uh, so I'm gonna let these audio clips um do do their stuff. And
Second and goal. The man in his face throws touchdown. Ingram makes the catch, and Kramer let him right downfield and threw that one with Tim Owens right in his chop. Another pump fake, same play, touchdown. Kramer to throw, fade, it's good. Ingram makes the catch, the 2-point conversion is good.
and keep in mind, folks, the 2-point conversion as well. He had to keep both feet in bounds to make that happen. And I was looking at the footage of this game, and man, what a catch, what a save. So shout out to the Bears of climbing all the way back into this game, and lo and, lo and behold, I mean, Dolphins are running out of options. So the next thing we do is overtime.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
Yeah. Well, according to my pregame prediction, I was definitely right on the overtime part. So Bears won the coin toss to receive the overtime kickoff. And let's see if Dan Marino sacked by Mark Thomas, -6 yards. And the Bears, right away was able to get the ball back after a quick 3 and out. And Eric Kramer pass complete left to Ricky Perrell for 9, tackled by Calvin Johnson. Completes right to Ricky Perrell again, 13 yards. tackled by Sean Wooden and George Teague. Darrell Arnie left for 3 yards, tackled by Derek Rogers, and he completes it to Ricky Perrell again. 8 yards, tackled by Terrell Buckley, and -5 for uh, Darrell Audrey, excuse me. So middle for no gain for next play, tackled by Derek Rogers, and he fumbles it, but he was able to get it back. So, whew, that was a close call there. So
Mhm.
later next play, Eric Kramer passes incomplete, defended by Shane Burton, and Todd Serburn punts 35 yards. And here we go. Demaroni gets another chance, complete right, intended for Bernie
Connolly.
uh Homily, excuse me.
Mhm.
And Dorino sacked again, by this time by Barry um, Minster by -10 yards, and he fumbles the ball, recovered by Carl Reeves. So, ooh, and Duro already left with no gain, tackled by Trace Armstrong and Shane Burton. But luckily enough, the Bears were in field goal range, and field goal kicker Jeff Jagger for 35 yards. Good! Bears win it in a stunning upset by Chicago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was the two games that I found. They didn't have like the broadcast version of the game-winning field goal, but they did have the ESPN highlights. They showed the strip sack by Mentor, and when that happened, Dolphins knew that we're pretty much that's a final nail in our coffin. And then Jager officially sealed their fate with that overtime game-winning field goal.
Yeah, and shout out to Pro Football Reference for all these notes here. So, um, definitely. So, let's say we look at the team stats for this game, Amir.
Yeah, so you got Raymond Harris, who would end up having 1,000 yards that year, and he had 106 yards on that night. And then for Mr. Terry, I know he had 3 sacks on the season. He would finish 97 with 3 sacks, with 2 of them coming in his game, but they were big ones. So both of them were fumbles, and also one led to a safety.
Yep, that safety. I think early in the first quarter with the make it 12-7. So that was a big one, and um, so let's just say it was a tale of two halves for both teams, really.
Yeah, and this turned out to be the better game that night because there was another game being played on Monday night. The Patriots and the Packers, a rematch of the Super Bowl from the year earlier that year, or previous season rather. And Green Bay won that game 20-10. And fortunately, because the game got moved, the Dolphins Bears game got moved to Monday night. It wasn't like a double header situation, like they show one game and then once it concluded, they'll take to the next. Once this game concluded in Miami, they didn't see the conclusion of the game in Foxborough or other teams or local news at the conclusion of the Bears Dolphins game.
Yep, that's another fun fact for this episode, folks. And that makes sense, despite the fact that this game had to be moved because of the World Series game. In case you were wondering what happened in that World Series game, well, let's go ahead and actually go back real fast. And let's see, the Indians and Marlins. So I'm going to do a quick production meeting real fast and tell you the final score of this game. Let's see, the World Series Game 7 score, and I'll add a drum roll, please. So the the Florida Marlins won, yeah, the Florida Marlins won 3, and the Indians coming up with 2 points in this game. So with the, the Florida Marlins is your 1997 World Series champion.
And also get back to my slide. the A's ended up winning that World Series in '89, 4 games to nothing over the Giants, and that that was not interesting enough on October 27th of 1989, which was 8 years to the day when that game took place in Miami. And think how that works out.
Yep. So with that, that will be the end of my presentation. And Amir, thank you so much for helping me put this together. And shout out for helping me find those audio clips.
Oh, you're welcome. Again, I didn't know that this game had been uploaded at any point, but then I found it like, okay, oh, there it is. Yeah, it was a forgotten classic to say the least.
Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna do a double check real fast on something real quick, and we can wrap up this episode. So it was the Miami Marlins in 1997. So yeah, the Florida, yeah, it's called it says here the Florida Marlins according to this Google search, but it's actually the Miami Marlins. So pardon me for saying the first part of the team's name incorrectly. So yes, the 1997 World Series is the Miami Marlins according to this Google search. So thought I thought I say that before we sign off today. So
Yeah, that
Amir,
is.
any go ahead.
Yeah, I know that was weird because they play in Miami, but they call them the Florida Marlins. I found that strange. Even I'm like, aren't they called the Miami Marlins? And it's confusing to say the least.
So definitely for sure. And real quick before we sign off, is there any similarities or any other other fast facts from both presentations?
Well, again, World Series impacted both of them. I will say the Bears are kind of similar to the '89 Patriots. A lot of inconsistency at the quarterback position. Coach, has a trying to get the team to the playoffs after a slow finish to the previous season. And amazingly, Wannstedt kept his job despite going 4-12 in '97, but '98 that was like he went 4-12 again. The Bears run off said, "Yeah, we're pulling the plug on this, albeit a year later." But yeah. As for the Dolphins, this loss would come back to bite them because I mentioned the Patriots of '97 earlier. Well, they ended up losing to that Patriots team on Monday night at Miami, 14-12, and that allowed the Patriots to win the AFC's title, and they ended up winning the Dolphins a week later in the wild card round. So yeah, that imagine if the Dolphins won that game, they most likely would have won the AFC East in '97.
Yeah. So, there you have it, folks. Amir, a great breakdown on that for
Mm-hmm.
sure. So I got nothing else for this episode. And so, folks, if you like what you see, feel free to like. Feel free to just subscribe down below. Hit that notification bell so you won't miss an update from us. Uh, Follow us on Instagram at Double Header 97, and our Spotify account is Double Header Podcast. And feel free to check out our websites, our Wix websites for more information. And folks, I actually want to put this down in the description box below. If you want to donate to the American at the American Cross for the Hurricane Helene, I will put the link in the description box if you want to make a small donation to that. So the American Cross, if I'm not saying that correctly, so
Red Cross.
the American Red Cross. Thank you, American
Mm-hmm.
Red Cross. So I'll put that in the link in the description box down below if you want to make a small donation for it from the impact of Hurricane Helene. And like I said, our thoughts and prayers are with the people in the Western Carolina area and throughout Tennessee. And I know we have been impacted by the weather the last few weeks, and it's not been fun to be a part of, and just glad that you and I are safe, still doing this together, and as for everyone, continue to stay safe and stay healthy.
Mhm. Definitely.
So this has been Doubleheader with Amir Daniels. My name is Keenan Costain, and we'll catch you guys next time. Have a good one,
Definitely.
folks, and stay safe.